So the video I uploaded before this video was my first impressions of using both the Leica S007 and the Hasselblad X1D Mark II. Just to reinforce what I said earlier, the Leica S has a top screen. The Hasselblad doesn't have a top screen, but all the information can be found behind the Hasselblad screen here, which is not bad. It's a bright screen in the sunlight. And really happy we're having good weather today because a tropical storm is supposed to come soon. You can also see information behind the Leica S screen, but not as bright as the Hasselblad screen. You're using an optical viewfinder. This is an electronic viewfinder. Advantages of the EVF earlier was Katrina was able to look through the viewfinder and see the photos that we just took really clearly in this bright day or morning. With the OVF, you actually have to just look at the back screen. Yeah, and so it's a little bit hard to see with all the reflection. But Katrina, you've been on the channel before. Can you just introduce yourself to those that have not viewed your videos?
Sure. Hi everyone, I'm Katrina. This is my third or fourth time already.
I believe third.
Yeah, shooting with James and Godfrey. So it's nice to be back, and this is my backyard.
Really huge backyard. When I first saw it, I imagined putting little putt-putt golf holes around here. So thank you so much for letting us use your backyard. Really nice view. You have the ocean here, the beach, the hillside, the cliff line. It's morning time. We don't usually shoot in the morning, but I'm glad we did because of the light, where the way the sunset or the sun is hitting for the sun when the sun rises is just here at this angle versus it'll be on the other side.
Right.
So it really shows the hillside.
Versus later, just in case it rains again.
Yeah, it was raining off and on, but just really happy the weather is good right now. Okay, so we'll keep on shooting using both cameras, and later on, this video is primarily focused on, excuse me, looking at the raw files from both cameras, like the colors, and also maybe looking at the dynamic range. It'll look better on that portion of the computer. The main differences in operation and usability between the two is I do like the Hasselblad's HUI, Hasselblad user interface, where you can just swipe down, right? You get the menu here, swipe up to get the settings, the top mode dial. But just the focusing overall is really, really slow with the contrast detect. And it makes the camera feel really sluggish compared to the Leica S that Katrina's looking at now. Focus is face detect, only single point focus. It is really quick, it locks on super fast, less than a second, and I'm able to take multiple shots, barely any blackout because the mirror is really quick. This, on the other hand, does have a blackout. So just using both cameras, the Leica S seems really fast. Yeah, 2021. Everyone is very sensitive. Gina's still sleeping. All right, right here. Yeah, Gina's still sleeping. I just have to take the video. So we're just about done with our photo shoot. It is getting very hot. I'm just super glad that the weather is super good. It's been raining the last like 3 or 4 days. We do have a tropical storm coming our way in a couple of days. Just using the Leica S, very responsive, like I said before, really quick. Katrina, I know you can't really tell from the back of the LCD screens, but is there like the type of pictures you're looking at, is there like a color that you prefer coming from the Hasselblad or the Leica?
Well, actually this one is very, it's hard to see it, but
okay.
The one we just took up here, it's nice and vibrant. It's very warm, the colors. This is really good for like the panoramic landscape views.
Okay.
That's what I noticed. But this is nice where it's warmer. It touched a lot on like the ocean. Yeah, I thought that was nice. It was a nice comparison.
Yeah, I'm looking at both, and it seems like, well, we can't really compare because the lenses are different, but just the rendering of the Leica, I like a little bit more. Does kind of have like a smooth out of focus because of this lens. But the Hasselblad colors are...
I don't know how to go back to it, sorry.
Oh, here,
there you go.
Yeah, the Hasselblad colors, see if we can get rid of that.
So this one's actually a really nice picture.
Yeah,
really
the colors
warm.
look really nice.
Yeah.
Really nice colors of the ocean and then your white dress, and doesn't seem like it's blowing out the highlights from your white dress.
It's not contrasting too much. Yeah, that's a nice picture.
So I just need to go home and check on the computer, actually show you guys side-by-side file comparisons. I believe I took side-by-side comparisons like 5 different times. So yeah, we'll go home, we'll check out the files. Thank you again for always helping me out on these camera tests, lens tests for the YouTube channel.
Thanks guys for coming.
Yes. Any Instagram? I know you still have your Instagram, right? If anyone wants to follow you.
My Instagram is Katrina Untalan. It's just my full name. Katrina and then Untalan.
Okay, I'll put it on the screen and I'll send the description below.
No problem.
Okay. Thank you everyone. Stay safe. Hey everyone, we are home now. I just want to show you the differences between the Hasselblad X1D RAW files and the Leica S007 DNG RAW files. I will be using Adobe Lightroom to compare the differences between the two RAW files, but if you actually put the Leica S007 RAW files in Capture One, the pictures are really different from Adobe Lightroom. Same thing if you put the Hasselblad files in the 3FR files using Hasselblad Focus editing software. The colors are also different. Capture One recently started to support the Leica S007 DNG files earlier this year with their color profile. I believe it's called Pro Standard. So let me just show you that now. Getting on the computer, the reference picture is this, and this is, oh sorry, that's a Hasselblad file. This is a reference picture. I'm going to do a reset. Nothing has been done. Profile in Adobe Lightroom is Adobe Color. I do notice that the Leica S files are a little bit overexposed. So let me just get out full screen in Lightroom. And when we go into Capture One here, and let me just show you, ICC profile is Leica S007 Pro Standard. I believe this is new. Nothing has been done to the file itself. Everything is set to default. So when I show you these pictures side by side, and let me try to increase, try to make a similar size, you will notice that the Capture One file is able to lift up the shadows a little bit. It is more, it can actually control the highlights a little bit better, as seen on Katrina's face here. The colors are a little bit more punchy, a little bit more contrasty, and a little bit just more vibrant, and the whole image pops out pretty nice on the Capture One. I still prefer using Adobe Lightroom just because I have some presets that are compatible with Adobe Lightroom and not with Capture One. So let's move on to the 3FR file, which is here. And again, nothing has been done. And when you import 3FR files in Adobe Lightroom makes it camera standard for the color profile. If you do Adobe Color looks really off. Camera standard, which Adobe defaults to for the 3FR files, they look pretty nice and actually brings up some of the details in the shadows. So here is the Hasselblad focus, same file, nothing has been done to it. So if you put it side by side here, I do like the blues and the focus a little bit better. The Adobe Lightroom, it shows that the blues are a little bit on the purplish side. The greens are nice. The flowers seem to be a little bit more brighter, like the shadows have been raised in Adobe Focus Software. And some people do prefer just to use the Hasselblad Focus Software because I believe it converts it to an FFF file. And I think it kind of gets all the data from the huge 100 megabyte raw file from the X1D Mark II. But again, for this comparison, we will be using Adobe Lightroom. So there are two pictures that I want to compare. I'm just going to lower down the exposure to -0.60 just to be a little bit fair. These are the two pictures side by side. And if you see embedded preview, which I believe that could be embedded preview for this file, you can double click on it and it'll actually load up the full resolution file. But let me deselect that here. It seems to be a bug in Lightroom, but zooming in, it does seem like it's the full file. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be going away. Yeah, sometimes Lightroom does that. Sometimes Lightroom does get pretty buggy, but I remember I took off embedded preview. Anyway, the Leica S will always be on the left-hand side. Some may prefer the colors from the Leica S, but I'm going to tell you hands down, the Hasselblad X1D series of cameras has the best color out of any camera that I have tried. Best straight out of camera color using Adobe Lightroom out of every camera that I've tried. I do prefer it to the Leica S, but there are some scenes where the Leica S does look better. So let's go to those scenes. This is a DNG file, and this is also a DNG file. There we go. Let's put the Leica S on the left hand side. So different perspectives, different lenses. X1D II is a 45mm, which is like a 35 in full frames format. Leica S is using a 70mm, which is like a 50mm in full frames terms. But just the colors, looking at these, I do prefer the Leica S for this scene. So zooming in 100%, 131%, I might have missed focus, it is not that clear. The X1D Mark II zooming 134%. Remember, this is a 50 megapixel sensor. It is very sharp. Next example I want to show you is Katrina walking on the beach here. This is the Leica S, move it to the left. And this will be the the Leica S 3FR file. There we go. I did have to increase the exposure. Leica S is default. X1D, I had to increase it to 0.90 because the default was pretty dark for exposure. Okay, but here are the two pictures side by side. It really depends on the blues and the greens, what you prefer. The Leica S reminds me of film because it always tends to go to the greenish side of things. Just look at the blue. The blues are totally different. Let me unlock these two. The blues are totally different in the skies. Wide open, both lenses are very, very sharp wide open. There's times where the 45p has a hard time focusing because of contrast detect, so it'll be soft, and there are times where the phase detect on the Leica S will focus on the wrong thing, maybe on Katrina's nose versus her eyes, so it'll be slightly off. But believe me, both lenses are very sharp. Just to prove my point, I believe, let me see, is it this? Yes. Zooming in 100%, yeah, this is very sharp. And this is with the Leica S. Compared to the 3FR, zooming into 100%, it looks like it's a little bit soft just because, yeah, it missed. I mean, the camera would say, X1D would say that it's confirmed, that it's in focus, but when you take it, it's not. It's just the way that this 45p is. Other lenses, the XCD 90mm, I didn't really have that problem with that lens. So I try to do a dynamic range test here, and this is the Leica S, and this is the Hasselblad X1D II. You'll be surprised to see the before picture, which is this, at ISO 100. And what I did is I raised up the exposure to 4.25, lowered down the highlights, zooming in 100%. A little bit noise in the shadows, but it is still very clean, and zoomed out, it's very nice. The Leica S, doing a reset, I should have made the aperture stop down to f11 just to make it a little bit more darker, but increasing the exposure and lowering down the highlights. Again, I misfocus here, but again, 100 as 100, it is also very clean. So both cameras don't process dynamic range. I think it's just gonna come down to, and this is straight out of the Leica S camera, zoomed in 100%. Looks like probably at focus on Katrina's hair here, but really comes down to which color output you prefer from the cameras. If you're going to be using Adobe Lightroom like I am, I would of course go for the Hasselblad X1D just for the colors. But for me, the camera that I feel connected to is the Leica S. Just when I hold it, it reminds me of an old school Nikon D80, which I used to have. The focus is very snappy, it's very quick. There's no slowdown in the camera whatsoever. It's an optical viewfinder, so blackouts are very minimal. The blackout on the X1D Mark II is a little bit long. But again, it's all about your personal preference, and I hope this video would kind of help you make a decision if you're deciding between the two cameras, because the X1D Mark II used is around $4,000 some as of September 2021, and the Leica S007 also maybe around 4,800 2021, and this may be a little bit lower than the Leica S. But if you're deciding between the two cameras, I hope this video does help you out. Again, it's personal preference, the usability, how you use it. If you're just concerned about the output, you don't care if the camera is slow, if the camera has a hard time focusing, then I think X1D II would be good. But then again, the file output from the Leica S kind of reminds me of the Pentax 645Z, just because the files reminds me of like the character from the Leica M lenses. So quoting a YouTuber that just commented on the last video, basically, I believe his name is Steve, basically shooting the Leica S lenses is like the Leica M character for the Leica M lenses on a medium format body with a medium format look. And I do love the look from the Leica S lenses and the Leica S sensor. It's really nice, and 37 megapixels is enough for me. 50 megapixels on the X1D II is also really awesome and great. Color output is amazing. Touchscreen is really nice. EVF is also nice as well. But the deal breaker for me is just the focusing and try to grab focus. With the X1D II, I do have a hard time trying to nail the focus. For me, it's just easier with the phase detection in the Leica S just to focus on Katrina's eye and just keep on taking shots. So again, it's really up to you, personal preference. Thank you for watching Guam Photography, and if you haven't, please subscribe.